this is not by accident, okay? It's not that these statements have suddenly come up in the past 2 years after Israel's attack on Gaza started. This is very much a part of worldwide official propaganda machine of Israel called the Hasbara. And I'm not exaggerating, even in the slightest. It is official, it is worldwide, and it is very much propaganda. Prakhar,
Yes.
I was waiting for the recording to start. I need to know about India's Got Talent, my friend. I am so proud of you. I'm telling everybody. I'm telling everybody I'm speaking with, they're like, this is Prakhar. This is the drummer guy. That is Prakhar. I'm very happy.
It was very nice experience. We realized the depth of it while watching it on TV. While we were on stage, we didn't realize how big this stage is and how big this opportunity is. And no, it felt like just a regular performance. We're going there, we're performing, and we got off stage. Of course, there were these judges, like big names, but even then, we didn't realize the gravity of it. So we were not able to watch it live while it was being aired because we had a show and we were playing. So what we did was that Piano Man, they have this projector and the screen. So we spoke to the owner asking if we can play the episode on projector while the audience was still there. So basically we did that and we took a break in between. We had the projector and the screen on and we
Nice.
watched the episode with the audience. So
Oh, wow.
That's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
nice. Yeah.
yeah, and that was the point when we realized the gravity of the entire thing, because the audience was there, they were cheering, and we were watching us like ourselves on big screen, and this was an edited episode. So there's a gap between the judges and the stage, so they're not very up close. But when you watch it on
Mhm.
TV, they did it in a way like they're showing the judge up close, and
Right.
then they show you. So it feels more like you're right there. There you are with
Right.
them. So watching it on TV was very exciting, and that is when we realized how big this opportunity is. And after that, when people started texting
Mhm.
and tagging us on Instagram, and my dad especially, I don't know who all he told
Yeah, yeah.
about IGP. I'm getting like calls and texts from so many people. I don't know their names.
Oh.
I don't know who they are, and they're just texting, and I have to be very excited and humble that I know them and all that. It's really overwhelming, but also exciting. So
That's nice,
Oh,
man.
no,
Really, this is really good,
That
man.
is
Genuinely.
amazing.
Really happy for you guys.
It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. We gave no context. So for the listeners, Kapao, Prakhar's band, these guys were on invite basis, not right from the auditioning. They were called to India's Got Talent. They did not like stand in line and go right from the beginning. They were invited up there.
I
So
did
they are
I did that part back in 2008 or 9. And this is my second time on India's Got Talent. I've been to India's Got Talent with my previous band back in 2008 or 9, when the stage was not as huge as it is now. Like there was the name India's Got Talent, but the arrangements and
Yeah.
openness for having bands and indie bands with setup and all, it wasn't there. It was mostly for dancers and singers and different acts. So I had to carry my own drum kit back then, standing in line in the crowd, carrying the entire drum kit. Imagine all the equipments, the amps, the drum kit, the mics, ourselves. And we had to book like a small cab back then, a day in advance to, like an Omni van. We had to book it a day in advance so that we can take our equipment to the venue. We stood in line for so many hours. and we went up on stage for the audition, set up our own equipment. And now things have completely changed. You just go with your drumsticks and your own equipment. They give you drum kit and the sound and everything. So the stage has grown a lot.
Sandy, you
But
find
quite
somebody else for your company. Prakhar is
no,
going to do.
man. No. Both of these things are very exciting for me, like working and this. So I love
I'm glad you did not talk about the podcast.
podcast.
That it's
Yeah,
not.
of course. So, but this is not like work. This is like my space for having fun, get knowledge. This is not like work. You don't have to stress. Like I personally get a little stressed while preparing for my own topics. But this isn't a space to get like stressed and. So I don't consider this as work. This is fun.
For any audio disturbances, we are just trying this out because Prakhar is growing as a musician. So he's probably going to be traveling far more often. And I really hope that happens.
Thank you for specifying that he's growing as a musician and not as a person.
Yeah.
I'm not very sure of the latter, so I'm just going to on air claim only the first part.
Thank you for the clarification, Ashmita. You got me worried for a second.
Okay,
Do
we're
you
going
have
to kick off. I, of course, don't have a segue, brother. Also, I never have a segue because we talk about like things that are going on in our lives and they are fun and nice and they're usually not depressing. And my topics are depressing. So there's literally no segue.
There is always a segue. Depression is a very real thing. We're all depressed. So speaking of depression, here is a depressing topic. Yes, Ashmita, over to you.
Okay, so we're going to talk about this subject I have been mulling over for a while, and I have come across this, of course, quite a lot in the past few years. But I was also considering dividing this into two separate episodes. I pinged you guys yesterday as well because it's quite a lot, right? But as of now, we are going to go with just one. I've tried to condense it as much as possible. But have you heard of these statements, right? Do these statements sound familiar to you? Hamas is ISIS. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. Then, if you don't support Israel, you are anti Semitic. Do all of these sound like something you've heard far too much, not just one off?
Yeah, pretty common,
yeah,
yes.
some of them I've heard.
Right? This is not by accident, okay? It's not that these statements have suddenly come up in the past 2 years after Israel's attack on Gaza started. This is very much a part of worldwide official propaganda machine of Israel called the Hasbara. And I'm not exaggerating, even in the slightest. It is official, it is worldwide, and it is very much propaganda. And we are going to talk about how fucked up and pervasive Hasbara is today and has been, honestly, for a while. So, starting with what Hasbara is, what does it mean? As usual, I start with the Wikipedia definition because that is the honestly one of the most reliable sources of information I have today. I know what you all are thinking, okay? And 10 years back, I would reject anything coming out of Wikipedia. But Wikipedia remains the only place where common people can go up, they can write about things, where editing is taken very, very seriously, sources are put up, and there is no corporate overlord looking up and deciding which information goes through
That's
and not.
fair.
And
That's fair.
and I have in all of my episodes, I get the first links from Wikipedia, and then I go down the rabbit hole, and not once has any of those links proven to be like a nonsense propaganda link.
Fair enough.
So a very, very reliable source. What?
Fine.
Yeah, I realize I fully went into attack mode. Okay. Okay.
That's your
So,
default mode, Ashmita.
okay. So Wikipedia says the public diplomacy of Israel, or Hasbara, includes mass communication and individual interaction with foreign nationals through social and traditional media, as well as cultural diplomacy. Organizations involved include the IDF spokesperson unit, the Israel Defense Forces, Prime Minister's Office, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and pro Israel civil society organizations. So, right from the government to civilians, everybody. Historically, these efforts have evolved from being called propaganda by early Zionists. And Wikipedia in the bracket says when the term is considered neutral. And I just want to say everywhere. So Hasbara is basically it means it's there's no English equivalent as such, but it started off by meaning propaganda, and then somebody down the line discovered that this probably will not be taken well. So they were like, this is the neutral form of propaganda. This is not the bad kind of propaganda. It actually means explaining. I will go into why all of that is bullshit. Okay. So, historically, these efforts have evolved from being called propaganda by early Zionists, when the term was considered neutral, to the more contemporary Hebrew term hasbara, which roughly means explaining. Right? So, it's basically a mass effort to get the world to, for the lack of a better phrase, right, to side with Israel. And considering how you see today so many countries recognizing Palestine as a state, finally, fucking Europe late in everything as usual, boycotts of companies that are economically invested in Israel, people protesting the supply of arms to Israel. They're literally like labor unions have literally refused to board arms onto containers to be sent to Israel. You can see how important it is that Israel maintain a positive image in the minds of people. The problem is that they have been horrifyingly successful up until about 2023, 2024, till very, very recently. It has impacted legal decisions. I mean, the fact that in 2025, Palestine, which is centuries old of a country, had not been recognized as a legal state shows how successful Hasbara has been, right? So we are going to go into the history of this very problematic and this very, very fucked up affair. And this is old. Like Hasbara is old, right? So it originated from early Zionist efforts. In fact, like everything related to Israel, they also allude to it in the Bible. But the Bible, like any other religious book, is a fictional work. So we are not going to talk about, we can't combine mythology with history. So we are not going to talk about Bible at all. But from the early Zionist efforts, which is before Israel was established and, the illegal occupying state was created. It was at that time an effort at explaining and defending Zionism. And they did something very smart. Okay, they initially they found, and of course Jews are everywhere, right? Like any other religion. Before we made it a thing to become an ethno state, different people from different religion existed everywhere in the world, and till date do, right? So they found Arabic speaking Jews and they made them reach out to Arabs to explain Zionism schools so that it seems like it's more friendly,
Easier
right?
to digest from a friendly face or a friendly voice, right?
Correct. It's
Yeah.
the same reason Muslims are there in BJP. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So one notable person in the early fuckery that Israel and Hasbara is this person is called Theodore Herzl. I am going to fuck up the names, and I honestly do not give a fuck about fucking up names of Zionists. Okay, so they can go to hell for all I care. So Theodore Herzl is what I'm presuming the name is, Herzl. Okay, Wikipedia says that he was an Austro-Hungarian Jewish journalist and lawyer who was the father of modern political Zionism. Herzl formed the Zionist organization. The Zionist organization, or the World Zionist Organization, it is basically, this was, it's a non-governmental NGO, it's a non-governmental organization. Its main aim was to promote Zionism, right? So it was formed, I think, in 87, 88, something like that. And Theodor Herzl was the founder of it. And the first conference took place in 1897 in Switzerland. And this is considered one of the biggest and most important days of Israel.
Wait, wait,
Yeah.
you said 87, 88. We're talking about 1887, 88 or 1987, 88?
Sorry, I don't know why I said 87, 88. It was actually around, just before the, it was, wait, let me see. Sorry.
ADHD.
It was August. It was August 1897.
Okay.
I have written it here. I don't know why I was struggling so much. It was
Right.
August 1897. And this was when the whole Zionist program started, right? So the goals were set out in this program. 1897 is far before the whole fuckery of Hitler happened. If you go down the history of Israel at that point of time, we are not going to cover that over here because we are talking about Hasbara. But if you go down the history, the Zionists actually demonized and completely isolated the victims of Nazi Germany. Like Jew victims of Nazi Germany, they isolated them. They were like, you were too weak to defend yourselves. It's insane. Like, the creation of Israel itself is super fucked up. And they were absolutely terrible to families that were, that suffered so much for more than a decade in the hands of Nazi Germany. So they were terrible people. Zionists were terrible people throughout. Like, there was never a point of time they were good people. They were horrible to rest of the world, plus to Jews themselves. So they were the original anti-Semitics, to be very honest. So about Theodor Herzl, Wikipedia continues. He promoted the Jewish immigration to Palestine in an effort to form Jewish state. Due to his Zionist work, he is known in Hebrew as Chose Hamedina, or visionary of the state, right? He is specifically mentioned in the Israeli Declaration of Independence, whatever the fuck they were seeking independence from. And he is officially referred to as the spiritual father of the Jewish state. And during the time of Herzl, this Hasbara was called as propaganda, not Hasbara, but in a neutral sense, like Hasbara sources often like to remind us, right? And then came Nahum Sokolov. Nahum Sokolov was the 5th president of the World Zionist Organization, and he was the one who coined Hasbara, which coined the term Hasbara, which roughly translates to explaining. This was the pre-Israel formation, like how Hasbara came into being. And we are going to talk about throughout this episode the different phases, because Hasbara went through a lot of changes as well, right? And we are going to talk
Up until
about
this point,
Yeah.
we are all talking about a time before the Balfour Declaration, right? This is all
Yes, correct.
pre-Balfour, right?
Pre-Balfour, yes.
Okay.
And we are going to continue talking about that because up until establishment of Israel, right, 1948, the early 20th century to mid 20th century, this was when Hasbara intensified. Before that, it was very honestly, genuinely explaining. Before the Zionists came into the picture, it genuinely was explaining. Like, we have always had religious wars, and Christianity, like any other religion, does not have a clean history. And they were persecuting a lot of Jews, and Jews needed to explain their position, unfortunately. So a lot of it was true. It's only when Zionists came in and appropriated this that they threw Jews under the bus, as well as everybody else in the region, and they established the so-called promised land. So we are going to talk about that
Whether
when I
any
get some
land was
coffee.
promised or not, what we can promise you is that there is an ad break coming up. So we'll see you on the other side. Hopefully, the promised ad break proved to be better than any mention of any promised lands millions of years ago. So we're getting right back into the topic. Back to you, Ashmita.
Okay, so we were talking about just before the formation of the colonial occupier state called Israel. This is pre 1948, okay, and I found an article on Arut Sheva. Arut Sheva, in English, it's called Israel National News. And they went into the history of Hasbara, right? And this was an article that was published in 2004 and then archived. And this, I think, describes the attitude of Zionists towards Israel and towards Palestinians and what Hasbara is supposed to be. So this says, I will not read out the entire article, or I will not even, to be very honest, link it because it's a shit ass article. Okay, but I want to quote one particular paragraph which I feel defines what pre-establishment of Israel the attitude was, and then it continues. Hasbara is the new user-friendly term for Israeli propaganda, even though it is not really propaganda. While propaganda strives to highlight the positive aspects of one side of a conflict, Hasbara seeks to explain actions whether or not they are justified. This was the attitude from before Israel was established. This was the attitude of Zionism that explain our actions whether or not they make sense. Right? And remember, this is from a news outlet that fully believes that establishment of Israel is justified and that Palestinians are worse than Nazis. Right? So they have massively fucked up thought processes, and even then, this is what they believe is fully correct. Right? Now, I want to caveat here and I say that a lot of, like I mentioned before, but I think it's pertinent to mention again, is that a lot of these Hasbara began as a self-preservation mechanism because Jews have a history of being persecuted and living in exile, right? Like I mean, it's really unfortunate, dude. They have faced persecution from everywhere.
Pretty
And
much
it's
everyone. Yeah,
really,
yeah. They have been
yeah,
massively persecuted throughout history.
it's really, really shitty. And Zionism was an offshoot of that, right? And at that point of time, they were scared, which is understandably so. But from here on, which is the establishment of Israel to the apartheid today, nothing is remotely justifiable. Okay, now timeline wise, we jump to 1970s to 1990s. So before this, Hasbara was a thing, but it was not really as big as this overseas image building thing that happened. And that started in 1970s to 1990s, right? Which is primarily the target was US because US basically funds everything, right? Today, we have reached a place where Israel has US by the balls, right? Because their politicians effectively owe their careers to APAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, right? I mean, APAC is a whole other episode. How deeply they are involved in US politics is a whole other episode altogether. We might do it someday. But as of now, let's just say that they have been wildly successful in influencing US policies towards Israel. So much so that Israel depends largely on the funding of US, funding by US, not just for like the military, funding, like not just attacking Arabic countries, but also the domestic functioning of Israel is dependent on this. And at the same time, US citizens can't afford medical treatments. So I don't understand how US citizens are for Israel. Like a large part isn't. Some of the biggest protests are from US. there are quite a few people who are still pro-Israel, which
That's
makes zero sense
basically
to
how
me.
propaganda works, right? Like that's the entire
Correct.
that's the fruit of all the propaganda for all of those years, right?
Correct. So Hasbara is directly responsible for what we see today, how US supports literally anything Israel does, right? And this started off in the 1970s, right? I found an article of June 1986 in the New York Times, and this was called New York Day to Day to help Israel improve public relations. And this article is very insightful. It shows what people were doing at that point of time. So let me quote some parts from it. It says the American Jewish Congress raised $200,000, 1986, $200,000 at a dinner Wednesday night to be used to teach public relations skills to Israeli government spokesmen. 10 years ago, Mr. Spielvogel, and we will get to Mr. Spielvogel in just a bit, Carl Spielvogel, he's an interesting character. So the article says 10 years ago, Mr. Spielvogel, chairman of Prakhar and Spielvogel, first traveled to Israel to advise the government on communicating defense goals. No single event has brought home the need for a more effective Hasbara or information program more persuasively than the 1982 war in Lebanon and the events that followed, a brochure from the Congress says. Like, this is 1986, and Spielvogel went to Israel in 1976 to train the Israeli government officials on public relations. 1982 was a turning point for Hasbara because 1982 was the Lebanon War. What happened there? So, a very, very small background, right? On 6 June 1982, Israel invaded South Lebanon to destroy the Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO. PLO was the main political party at that point of time. If you check other sources, you will see that Israel fully funded armed military intervention by Hamas so that PLO can be destroyed. So Israel pretty much created Hamas, which now, of course, they don't they don't agree to. PLO's offshoot was this armed resistance group called Abu Nidal Organization. It had been termed as a terrorist organization by Israel, but they had a lot of allies because essentially Abu Nidal Organization was, from an Indian context, it was like the INA to our INC. Like, every resistance movement has one which is political and non-violent, and another which is armed, where people like Bhagat Singh in our country, right, who had to go up in arms and legitimately defend themselves against the government, then government, and that is the colonial rule of British, through armed resistance. And every single independence struggle has been won by a combination of both. Even then, the British labeled INA, Bhagat Singh, etc., as terrorists, and they were just armed resistance groups. That is the same thing today, right? And that was the same thing in 1982 during this war. So, just before the war, Abu Nidal organization attempted an assassination on Shlomo Argov. Shlomo Argov was Israel's ambassador to UK. At that point of time, because of this, the Israeli prime minister, the then prime minister, I think I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, but who the fuck cares? His name is Menachem Begin, blamed the PLO and used it to launch a full-scale war. Clearly an MO they still follow, right? And as usual during this war, Israel conducted multiple war crimes. For instance, there was the Sabra and Shatila massacre from 16th to 18th September, 3 days, or 16, 17, 18, 3 days, where they murdered between 1,300 and 3,500 civilians. And the reason this number is so broad is because, firstly, social media didn't exist, so recording was difficult. And secondly, it was so widespread that you genuinely didn't have a count. Okay. And these were mostly of Palestinian and Lebanese Shias. And this was conducted in the city of Beirut. Essentially, this assassination attempt on Shlomo Argov led to Israel's war crime and what is known as the Lebanon War. Why Lebanon? Because PLO was seeking refuge in, like a lot of PLO members were seeking refuge in Lebanon at that point of time. Naturally, after this war and Israel's war crimes, public opinion went against Israel, right? A lot. Especially because PLO's objective, and PLO declared this and was constantly negotiating on this, was, and I'm quoting from their own official document, it says, was to establish a single democratic state in all of historical Palestine with equal rights for Jews, Muslims, and Christians. Obviously, Israel couldn't let this humanity thrive, and hence the massive funding of Hasbara. And because I think in 1982, they fully realized that public opinion is going against them and they couldn't deal with that. So 1982 sort of really brought in a lot of funding to Hasbara. And a lot of official, like government started getting involved and people started putting in a lot of money, like rich Zionists started putting in a lot of money to this. Now, coming back to the New York Times article, you remember we talk about Mr. Spielvogel, chairman of Prakhar and Spielvogel, and his trip to Israel. Okay, so the article says, this trip led to the Hasbara project, an internship program established 2 years ago. So we are talking about 1984 now, this was established, to train foreign service officers in communications by placing them with American companies. This sounds like, Prakhar, your expression is what I had while reading this. This sounds so shady, right? It's like conniving. It's disgusting behavior, right? And
These people were definitely not slow-mo. They were very fast.
What is slow-mo? Oh my God. Oh my God. Anyway, Mr. Spielvogel, you will really like, okay? So he was the co-founder, chairman, and CEO of a large, guess, which industry he was in. Just make a wild guess.
PR and communications.
Yes! He was an ad man.
God. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I had an inkling from the get-go that the one thing that was going through my mind was he was possibly very close to the real-life Don Draper, like in this case.
He was that.
Yeah.
He was, so Baker and Spielvogel was a very, very large advertising firm of its time, right? I mean, what a surprise, an ad man behind a major propaganda that has been deeply damaging to the world at large. Like, such an anomaly. Who would have thought? No other ad man has ever contributed.
No other
ad man has ever contributed to such a damaging, collapse of society as a whole, right?
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, except for tobacco lobbying and big pharma lobbying and enabling big oil to deny climate change and pushing sugary, wildly dangerous products to children and just being overall shitty people. Apart from that, absolutely golden people ad men are. Like, no complaints whatsoever.
That's
Right?
fair. You only counted down about 4 or 5 cons. Rest all are pros, I imagine. So
all pros, all nice things, admin. They've been very good for the world as a whole. Absolutely fantastic people. Like, if admin were not here, capitalism would have just taken over and we would have all been in terrible places where we couldn't afford housing. Like, it was just been a very bad world. And
I'll
we
go back
owe
to
a lot
something we have discussed previously, Ashmita. You are extremely subtle. Your subtlety needs no work, no notes whatsoever. You are as subtle as they come.
Okay. So we are talking about a different kind of terrible affair, which is Hasbara. We will go back to that. Okay. And we are still in the 1970s to 1990s, right? Now, 1970s to 1990s was when a lot of books were also written. And this is the pre-internet era, right? Like everything is not yet digitized, right? So people still believed books. Now they believe random Facebook posts and forwarded WhatsApp messages. Like both are equally dangerous if you don't validate the sources. Like shitty people have also written books. Now, one book
Might as well get it out of the way,
that
no? Chetan Bhagat. Okay, carry on.
Chetan Bhagat, yes.
I mean,
You
we
know,
need to have at
I
least
was
one mention
actually,
of Chetan Bhagat every episode, you know.
I was waiting for Ashmita to take a few names. My God,
Listen, Chetan Bhagat at
you've
least
become,
writes fiction.
you're very predictable now, Ashmita. In this aspect, especially.
Yes. See, I
Look,
see that the thing is she might have a long list, but she must have forgotten pretty much all of them. Chetan Bhagat is the only name
yes,
she remembers, you know. So
that's
ADHD.
exactly what happened. You know, when I was writing the notes for this episode, I was like, oh my god, yes, there are so many people who have written bad books, and I had a long list in my head, but I didn't write it down, so now I remember none of them.
I believe you, Ashmita. That's why I gave you an assist there. You know, now that we have that out of the way, we can very easily carry on now. Please.
Okay, so this book, that one particular book came up by this man called Shmuel Katz. Terrible name. Shmuel Katz. He's an Israeli
Sorry, are you making fun of Jewish names now?
Zionist, only Zionists.
It is a Jewish name. There is no Zionist name. Okay, it's a Jewish name.
That
The
is
person
true.
is a
That is
Zionist.
true. That is true. I can still say that the name is bad. It's not a good name. Anyway, and also I don't have to tiptoe around Jews as well. My ancestors did not do anything to them. So I have a clear conscience there. It's only with Muslims I have to be guilty now. Because not just my ancestors, my current country is also doing the same thing. So
Your current
next
country.
generations will deal.
What is your next country and what was your previous country?
I mean, previous country there was none, but next country I'm really hoping is somewhere in Europe because I can't wait to get the fuck out. Anyway,
Huh.
so Shmuel Katz, who was an Israeli writer, historian, and journalist, if you can call him that, and also more importantly, a Zionist activist and member of the High Command of Irgun. Irgun was a paramilitary group. And he wrote a book called Battleground Fact and Fantasy in Palestine, which has been described as an encyclopedic source book for those involved in Israel's Hasbara effort. Right? It is full of misinformation. It makes wild fucking claims, like wild claims, right? One of them is that there was never a Palestinian Arab nation. And to the Arab people as a whole, no such entity as Palestine has ever existed. Fuck all the maps that were drawn in like the 19th century and everything. So Palestine did not exist only. He says that the real purpose behind Arab claims was the destruction of Israel as an entity of the Jewish people and not a response to Israeli violation of any political rights of Palestine. Just full denial, right? Like it. And how do you even argue with such things, right? They are not rooted in reality at all. This is 70s, which means Nakba has happened. So it's really strange that they just absolutely, and this seems to be their MO, they just seem to ignore all facts and double down on nasty claims. And you can't do anything. Like how do you counter it? Can you logically counter this? There's no argument to be made, right?
A few moments later.
You guys are not saying anything. Those are
Oh, you
deep.
were. I thought it was a rhetorical question. I didn't. I was not
I
expecting.
mean,
to
I
be
want to know
honest.
your thoughts. Like, I genuinely want to know your thoughts. Like, how do you argue with this?
Logically, no, but
Okay.
there are other ways. Definitely. Logically, no, none.
Anyway, so a review was published in the New York Times on this book. And this was the time when New York Times had some spine and real journalism. Along the way, after that, they lost sense of what their job was. But by this time, they were still doing their jobs, which was journalism, news, right? And this review said, Katz devotes an entire chapter documenting the existence of every Jewish village in Palestine and the immigration of every band of Jews to it through the centuries since the destruction of the Second Temple in order to enhance the Jewish claim to the country. Yet, the Arab and Muslim rule there for near 1200 years is not deemed by him sufficient ground to establish its claim to a national homeland to it. He asserts the fact that there was never a Palestinian Arab nation, as if 3/4 of the present members of United Nations were not lacking the credentials he deemed demands from the Palestinians, which is true, right? Like no country, most present day countries, if you go back and you try to trace the history of the current people, it doesn't exist. Like Americans were colonizers. They did not exist. Should we take back America from them? Should we expel them back to Europe? Like, what? Prakhar seems to be very happy with that idea. Right? Like, none of the United Nations, like the nations in the UN, none of them match up to this. But somehow Palestine is supposed to come up with this proof. Might I also add, they actually do have proof. They have historical records and not mythological records, okay? Not like they're quoting the Bible or the Quran for this. Like they literally have maps that show Palestine, right? So they very much have proof. But Israel denies it. Israel says that there was no country only at that point of time. And I want to emphasize this, that I volunteer with Tech for Palestine, and there are a lot of projects that we fund that Tech for Palestine funds that aims at dealing with Hasbara, and this is still an issue. They are still struggling to convince people that this Israeli claim is absolute nonsense. And it's getting worse, right? Because Israel is literally, like, over the past quite a few years, the world has just started noticing in the past 2 years. But over the past quite a few years, they have destroyed a lot of historical records. Like schools, museums, libraries, they are just gone. And the aim is to destroy a trace of the Palestinian people. So it's bad. This we spoke about till the 90s. And now, after we take a short break, we are going to talk about what happened 2000s onwards, which was Hasbara 2.0. You notice how all of these really shitty programs, whether that is tech or that is political, they always have this 2.0. Does 2.0 remind you of another shitty political program?
Yes, we all do.
You know what else it reminds me of?
What?
Break
Ad Break
2.0.
2.0. Yes, it reminds me of Ad Break 2.0. So we'll see you on the other side. Hope you all had a great ad break.
Wow, okay.
No,
So
wait,
apologies, Sandy's
Wait.
unwell today.
So that was our ad break 2.0, and now we're back into part 3.0 of this episode. Back to you, Ashmita.
Oh, nice. So Hasbara 2.0, why is it 2.0, right? Now, up to late 1990s, Hasbara was mostly reactive, right? So Israel would get accused, and rightly so, of war crimes because of their displacement and genocide of Palestinians in 1948, and then many, many times afterwards. People would get really mad at them, and they would be like, "You are disgusting people, stop killing people." And Israel would react by spreading disinformation and straight up denying their role, which we see till today, right? That's what they have done since 2023 as well. But by the 2000s, they realized they needed to take control of the narrative. So they started spreading disinformation first. They were like, we are not going to react with disinformation. We are just going to bombard you with disinformation right off the bat. And initially, in quite ingenuous ways, but then the fact that they seem to be vicious but deeply stupid people, they just repeat shit and hope people will not notice. And one of those ways, which you will recognize now, but it started off in 2000s and it continues till date, is by trying to show that Palestinians train their children back to hate Israel. I just want to say that nobody needs to train their children to hate Israel. Israel is very hateable by its very nature. Nobody needs to try. Israel is doing all of that by itself. Anyway, we're going to talk about one of the first examples of this in 2002. And let me just show you the pictures. Can you see this cute baby's picture?
I am not too sure about how cute that baby is. I mean,
Yes, okay. Okay, so listeners, let me give you some context. This is a child, a baby, wearing a mock suicide bomber clothing, okay?
yeah. Do you want to take those words back now after you said this?
The baby is cute. The suicide bomber thing is a little disturbing, okay? But
A
yes, so
little?
Let me just say
A
this.
little?
Ashmita also calls a lot of babies extremely ugly, right? So she does not hold back on. So when she says the baby is cute, there's a good possibility that the baby might be cute. Because if the baby were ugly, she would have said the baby is fucking ugly, you know? So
yes, some babies are ugly. Like some people are ugly, some babies are ugly. It's fine to be ugly, dude. It is absolutely okay. Okay.
tell
Anyway,
that to the ugly people. Fine. They struggle throughout their lives.
that is because we as a society are fucked up. But it
No,
is
I'll tell you why. In Ashmita's defense, they don't know that they're ugly. That is why they are struggling. If they accept that they're ugly,
Do you
no, no,
really
no.
think that they go through their entire lives without someone coming up to them and saying that you're fucking ugly?
No. So, like being beautiful and being ugly are traits. It's fine. And like it's fully I can't choose to be beautiful right now. I've got this face. I've got to deal with it. I've got to live with it. I have other redeeming qualities. My face might not be one of them.
but
But
how do you define and who defines what is beautiful and what is not?
what
It's
do
a
you mean
rabbit
if
hole.
somebody
If
is not?
you
No, Prakhar. It's also to a large extent objective. Like you look at a person and you'll be like, this is not a pleasant face to look at. Then
see,
it's fine.
see, I consider myself as not very beautiful. People call me beautiful. So now see
You're a
that
good
there's a
looking guy, Prakhar.
see exactly. I
No,
just
you're
wanted
just
you to
fishing
say
for
that.
compliments. See,
Yes.
yeah, you know you're good looking and you're just fishing for compliments. That's a very different thing.
See, that's an art people should love. Should learn how to get compliments out of other people. Even if you're ugly.
All those beautiful single ladies out there who are looking for a successful drummer who may or may not
No.
have reached the India's Got Talent
What do you mean,
stage.
no, Prakhar?
So we have one ready and available, single ready to mingle. Please reach out to
Also,
us or write to us at don'tknowdocare1@gmail.com. The one is numerical. Or you may slide into our DMs or even Prakhar's DMs. He's tagged on most of our posts on Instagram at DKDC Podcast.
I can't believe Prakhar just went off video in this. It's like, you will not be able to use this on Instagram.
You know I still will, right?
This is my way of protesting.
Okay, back to the
Yeah.
cute baby with the suicide bomber cosplay, right? Now, what happened here? So in 2002, the IOF, and we don't call them IDF, but IOF, Israeli Occupying Forces, not Defense Forces, because they are defending absolutely fuck all. They claim that they found this photo in the home of a wanted man in Palestine. And during the second Intifada, they used it heavily to claim that Palestinians are raising their children to become suicide bombers. And for the uninitiated Intifada, the second Intifada was an uprising against the Israeli occupation, a peaceful one, in response to which the IOF fully massacred and killed protesters. Are we surprised that they did so? Because how dare they demand that they have the right to live freely? So
Yeah,
Yeah,
if we were to draw parallels, this is eerily similar to the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So
correct,
make of that what you will.
correct. That's accurate. Right. Now, to this photo of did you notice that the baby was was a little cross-eyed? Because a very adorable child, okay? If this photo is real, it's a very, very adorable child.
Bhenga bacha?
Benga bacha. He's a little
Very Karama.
cross-eyed.
I was I was wishing that no one says that, but fine.
It's very cute. Anyway,
You can make
the
fun of kids.
baby's
They're idiots anyway, man. They don't know half the things that you're saying to them, so it's fine.
They're irritating, that I accept. They're very
Yeah, they are.
irritating.
Yeah, they are. They are. They are. Anyway, so the BBC reported on this, saying that there was no independent confirmation of the authenticity of the photograph, though an interview carried out by the Associated Press, a news agency with a Redwan Abu Turki. Abu Turki is apparently the child's grandfather, appears to confirm that the picture was not a fake. In response, Palestinian authorities said that this was fake. An article in Dawn is a Pakistani news outlet. It said, however, Chief Palestinian Negotiator and Cabinet Minister Saeb Erakat dismissed the picture as a pack of lies. Erakat said, these are lies that are.
Might I just add that obviously we'll be sharing this photo. It looks very clearly photoshopped even at a time when there was probably not enough Photoshop tools available. It looks photoshopped to me.
Really?
It looks fake.
Can you share it
It
again?
looks
Can you
fake.
share?
Yeah.
Can you share it again?
To me, it genuinely looked fake.
I was so lost in the cuteness of the baby.
You didn't know where the baby was looking, right?
The baby is cross-eyed.
That
But
is
it
not
seems.
Photoshop.
It clearly looks photoshopped to me.
Okay, the fact is that we don't know whether this is fake or not, right? But that's not the important part. The important part is
The thought. Yeah.
how Israel took this up, right? Like, okay, so also important to note what Palestinian, the chief negotiator, the cabinet minister, Erakat said. He said, these are lies that are used to cover their own crimes, the murder of our children. This week alone, 6 children were killed at the hands of Israeli forces. So while you are showing photo of apparently a baby, true or not, I don't know, but a baby wearing a fake suicide bomber clothing, fully cosplaying. And it might just be a disgusting joke. Like, I am sure that also happens. And that's not the same as, that's just a bad joke. That's not the same as killing children or killing people, right? It's disturbing how Israel does this constantly, how Israel takes these random pictures, whether true or not, and then claims to be that Palestinians are violent and they are trying to kill Israelis while Israel is literally killing them. It's really strange and it's perverse. It's disgusting. Also, I found about this an article in Haaretz in 2002. Haaretz, again for the uninitiated, is an Israeli newspaper that dares to publish some sensible journalism. It is as left as Israel can be. And I would like to caveat this. There is, in settler colonial rule, left doesn't exist. The only way Israel left exists is if they leave Israel. You cannot be a part of a settler colonial rule in somebody else's land and claim to be a socialist. It doesn't exist. So Haaretz said in this article, a Palestinian cabinet minister said Friday that Israelis should not be shocked by the picture of a Palestinian baby photographed wearing a mock suicide bomber's uniform, replete with sticks of explosive and the traditional martyr's red headband. Labor Minister Ghassan, I think I'm pronouncing it correct, Ghassan Khatib said the IDF distributed the picture to tell the world that the Palestinians are teaching their children how to hate Israel and how to act against Israel. And I just want to say this is correct. This is the Palestinian cabinet minister saying this, okay? Khatib said he opposes suicide bombings, but he called the attacks an unfortunate but inevitable outcome of the Israeli atrocities. And I want to pause here and I want to emphasize how it is important to understand that even if this happens, and even if Palestinian children grow up to join the resistance and what hate Israel, is it really that surprising? When you occupy a land and continue to kill its citizens, do you expect the people not to hate you? I don't understand how even this October 7th, the Hamas retaliation, right? It was not an attack, it was a retaliation to Israel's brutal occupation of Palestine for decades. You do not get to sit back and comment on how occupied people and oppressed people retaliate. You do not get to constantly kill them and massacre their lands and displace them and torture them and absolutely put them in concentration. Gaza is a concentration camp, has been for a while. You don't get to do that. And then when people take up arms, you say this was violent and this was wrong. My friend, it was wrong, but you are the one who is responsible for it. Israel is responsible for the fact that this happened. Palestine isn't. Hamas hasn't been born in a vacuum. It has been born because of Israel and as a direct consequence of Israel's occupation. But Israel refuses to understand that, and so does a large part of the world, apparently. It's very wild to me. But anyway, the article continues. The Israel Defense Force published the photograph Thursday, saying that it had been removed from an album found in the house of a suspected terrorist in Hebron. The house was later destroyed. The end of the article says, asked whether the army would take reporters to the house to verify the authenticity of the photograph, an army spokeswoman said that this was not immediately possible because Hebron was a closed military zone from which journalists were barred. So, super convenient. Right? And this is a trend in Israeli Hasbara. They claim something, they show absolutely no evidence to it. They deny the possibility of any form of third party validation. And then they keep stacking up one claim after the other to justify the apartheid. That's what they keep doing. This has not changed since forever. So 2000 onwards, this became their MO. On one hand, they continue killing children, and on the other hand, they take these random photographs and say, Palestinians want to kill us. This is just one example. They do multiple of them. And if I need to get into the different forms of disinformation, it will take a whole other episode, which we don't have time to get into. But I do want to talk about one of the most well-documented Hasbara examples that I have seen so far. It's called the Hasbara Fellowship. I will put the link to it. It is one of the most depressing and disturbing sites I have seen, websites that I have seen in a long time, right? So Wikipedia describes this as an organization that brings students to Israel and trains them to be effective pro-Israel activists on college campuses. Based in New York, it was started in 2001 by Ash Hatora. It's it pretends to be an educational institute, but it's actually a fully Zionist propaganda institute, right? It was based in New York. It was started in 2001 by Aish Hatora in conjunction with the Israel Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The organization claims to have trained nearly 2,000 students on over 220 North American campuses. Okay, it's massive. It is huge. The mission of this organization, it's hasbarafellowships.org. So fully state sponsored. It says, through our unique Hasbara missions to Israel, we offer exclusive, accessible, and interactive training to empower students to lead on campus. Active on over 95 university campuses across North America, Hasbara Fellowships brings hundreds of students to Israel every summer and winter, giving them the information and tools to return to their campuses as pro-Israel activists and leaders. So they fully train them in public relations and comms in a bad way. Upon returning from the program, the Hasbara Fellows receive support from our staff as well as access to Hasbara resources. You need to know what this fellowship actually does in this trip to Israel, right? It's really disturbing. One of the points is that they tour strategic points throughout Israel, such as the Syrian border, the Gaza border, key Jerusalem landmarks, and the Palestinian towns. This is as if in Nazi Germany they would tour Auschwitz. It's disgusting, right? It's perverse. Like, doesn't this seem extremely off to you?
A few moments later.
You guys are not saying anything. It's
Again,
being
I thought it was
hard.
rhetorical. All of these are pretty much rhetorical questions. I don't know why you're expecting.
I
Yeah,
was
that's-
nodding my head. I was nodding
Yeah, but
my
I
head.
thought you had
but-
some expression. Like, I thought you would have something to say.
Yes, Ashmita,
And how
yes.
horrifying
You
this
are
is.
100% right. I'm horrified to my very bone.
See,
Yes.
that's the ideal response to everything. Yes, Ashmita, you are 100% right.
Unfortunately, that's not 100% right, right?
Okay, also, amongst other things, they also receive practical training in public speaking, social media content creation and management, and other effective ways to defeat anti-Israeli campaigns. So they're trained in propaganda, basically. And it says so on the website. It says they are also taught how to answer difficult questions about Israel. Maybe like, why should we support a genocidal maniac of a country? Like, I don't know how they justify this. From what I have seen with people defending Israel, it is just deflect. Like whenever anybody criticizes Israel, just say you're anti-Semitic. Just deflect. Or say, do you think Israel doesn't have the right to exist? Which, by the way, now that I'm doing an episode, I just want to say Israel does not have the right to exist. No state, no ethno state has a right to exist. People have the right to exist. You absolute fucktards of people, if anybody is listening to this, which I'm sure they aren't. But anyway. Also, another disturbing thing about this fellowship, it's meant for undergraduate students with at least 2 semesters remaining on campus after their trip. So effectively, the most impressionable minds, but also people who can go back and impact more impressionable minds because they have at least 2 semesters remaining. So the whole point is to train them young, right? And the student programs are also quite disturbing. Like, they have these campaigns that are, one is Faces of Israel, a tolerant, diverse society. Come on. Like, at least pretend better, right? They're like, this campaign highlights Israeli diversity, showcasing the everyday people that make Israel great. Then they also have Think Green, Think Blue campaign that zeroes in on Israeli environmental initiatives and efforts to better the world through sustainability projects. Might I remind you that one of their, wiping off wide areas of ecology. Secondly, one of their ways of attacking Palestinians is by tearing down olive trees. These guys are not, there's no climate action without social justice, right? So this is fuck all greenwashing.
Why the
Huh?
specific kind of tree that they're trying to?
Because olive trees are one, they are historically very relevant to Palestine.
Okay.
Second, they are economically also very relevant. Like, Palestinian olive oil is supposed to be one of the best olive oils of the world. Right? So
Also,
they make
olive
money.
trees are indigenous to the region, in the
They
Palestinian
are
region,
indigenous to
right?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
This organization, Hasbara Fellowships, also trains students on advocating against the BDS movement. The BDS is boycott, disinvestment, and sanctions. It's a very, very non-violent
Not to be
movement that
confused
has
with
been.
BDSM. It's completely different.
Yes.
Exactly my thought. Exactly my thought.
I cannot believe you guys saw that. It did not
No, it
register
was-
in my head at all.
It was right there. They just got saved by one M.
Yes.
It's actually, the M is also there. It's BDS movement.
Yes. That's why it's not the BDSM that we all associate anything with. It's a different kind of BDSM.
Yeah. If you say BDS movement, then it becomes BDSM.
Yes.
But it is the BDS movement.
So
Please don't get confused.
what you can do is give the full form and then in brackets put BDSM, so that there is no misinformation or any confusion taking place over
It's
here.
called BDS. It's not called BDSM. It's BDS or BDS
And
movement.
Also,
and
it's
and
not
I
a Korean pop band. Again,
No.
it's completely different.
and the fact that Ashmita, you just said after BDS movement, you just said that it is non-violent. It made sense to clarify.
Yeah, fair. It is boycotting, disinvesting, and putting sanctions. Okay, and it has been successful. We are going to talk about it in a bit. So it trains students to go against BDS. Horrifying. Also, it provides legal support to anti-Israel incidents on campus. So I went on a very bad rabbit hole throughout this website, okay? And I tried applying, not applying like fully, but I wanted to see what the form is. But they have made it so that the form is very, very minimal. But they assure you that lawyers will get in touch with you to provide support to anti-Israel incidents on campus. I don't know what that means, but it is vague enough to cover literally anything.
Basically, anything
Right.
which can be even loosely, remotely considered anti-Semitic, quote unquote anti-Semitic.
Yes, and my problem with this also is that there's legitimately anti-Semitic things happening. Jewish people continue to be harmed across the globe, and because of
Yeah.
fucking Israel, that also is going down the drain, right? Like that is also becoming a problem. I mean,
Yeah, the biggest
harmful to
victims,
everyone.
in addition to the Palestinians who are being put through this genocide, second biggest victims of this entire thing will be the Jews world over because their reputation has taken a severe nosedive because of Israel's
Yeah,
actions in the past however many years. They'll be the one who will be paying for all of these wrongdoings which are being perpetrated by Israel.
yeah, it is. It's already happening, and it's terrible. After October 7th, 2023, after Hamas's retaliation, the Hasbara continued in similar directions, right? But Israel started absolutely pretending. I mean, they got rid of any kind of pretenses, right? It became a part of mainstream discussion. So I'm going to quote from an article by the Institute for National Security Studies by the Tel Aviv University. This is talking about the Hasbara after October 7th. And it says, it goes into details of how common citizens were involved, right, to counter the growing narrative that Israel was conducting ethnic cleansing in Gaza. It says, mapping Israeli civilian Hasbara, public diplomacy, initiatives aimed at the West in early December 2023. So this is literally 2 months after the retaliation. Researchers at the Institute for National Security Studies, INSS, with the help of the Israeli Hasbara map, found some 120 operation rooms, 40 organizations engaged in developing technological tools for Hasbara purposes, and 100 databases dealing with the various kinds of public diplomacy. Some of these organizations stress the need to move from Hasbara to influence, to set the agenda, and to move from reactive to proactive initiatives in the effort to reach populations that do not support Israel. This is basically an expansion of Hasbara 2.0, where they are saying, stop calling it Hasbara. Hasbara just means reactive. Call it influence. It goes on to explain, while Hasbara is rooted in the attempt to defend Israel, influence does not apologize. Rather, it tells a story and addresses the emotions of the respective target audiences. Other methods are to stress the values shared by Israel and the liberal Western world while showcasing the terror that threatens the entire Western world, which is full blown just Islamophobia now. The narrative that equates Hamas with ISIS is important to deflect criticism of Israeli actions in Gaza and to underscore to Western audiences the dangers that threaten their societies. They are not even trying anymore. They are fully admitting that they are only trying to deflect. They use those words. And the crazy thing is, they see nothing wrong with with any of it. They fully buy into this, and they think it absolutely works, right? And it's absolutely justified that you're supposed to. So the article says, on September 30th, 2000, 12-year-old Mohammad al-Durrah was shot and killed by Israeli forces during a gun battle between Israeli soldiers and Palestinian security forces. The moment of Muhammad's death, which was caught on camera, marked the birth of the Hasbara term Pallywood, a racist smear that accuses Palestinians of acting out fake atrocities to blame on Israelis. Have you guys seen this even now? You know what I'm talking about, right? Like those influencers, they pretend to be Palestinians and right? It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. And they call it Pallywood, a play on Hollywood. It's disgusting. Anyway, the article continues. Unable to deny Muhammad's killing outright, Israeli propagandists resorted to delegitimizing the source altogether. After footage of Muhammad's death went viral, Israelis insisted that he was a crisis actor and that his death was a hoax. It did not matter that Muhammad's father buried his son with his own hands, nor did it matter that the murder was caught on video and confirmed by eyewitnesses. What mattered was that all Palestinian claims henceforth would be tainted by doubt, subjected to heightened scrutiny, or written off outright. This has been their MO throughout. We are talking about 2000. Today, in 2025, they continue doing that. Then there are tunnels everywhere claim. Same thing.
Yeah.
Continue. Right? And we're going to talk about 2023. What happened? So on October 27th, 2023, this is what the article says. I'm quoting the article now. On October 27, 2023, the Israeli military's official X account posted a 3D rendition of an elaborate labyrinth of tunnels and bunkers underneath Al-Shifa hospital, alleging Hamas was using it as a command center. If you guys haven't seen this 3D rendition,
Yeah.
I will not link it because I do not want to send any more traffic to that fuck all tweet. But oh my God, it is cartoonish. Like it's literally, there's no aerial shots, nothing. They've just built out a model. It's right out of their imagination. It's so stupid, man. Anyway, the article continues. Their claims were specific. Al-Shifa was the beating heart of Hamas's command infrastructure, and several hospital buildings sat directly atop tunnels that could be accessed from hospital wards. Israel provided no evidence to back up their claims, but that did not stop the Biden administration from unequivocally repeating the Israel narrative. It's November 2025 right now, as of the date of recording, and not a shred of evidence exists that there are any tunnels anywhere under hospitals or schools, all of which Israel has fully destroyed. So this article, I highly recommend reading this article, again by Jewish Voice for Liberation, a fantastic institute. It has debunked literally everything that Israel has been doing in terms of disinformation campaigns, and I strongly suggest reading it. We'll link it to the episode, right? Some good news now. We are going to end with some good news, right? Hasbara is not doing as well as
That
it
is
used to.
very out of character. Very out of character for you, Ashmita.
I know.
Exactly. This is very unlike Ashmita.
We are not used to silver linings. Yeah.
Are you okay, Ashmita? Are you sick? Is
Okay.
the air
Please,
in
if you're in
Singapore?
trouble.
Is the air in Singapore treating you differently? What's
Okay,
happening?
I just want to say there's a long way to go, but the common people have achieved a lot, and I think it's important to highlight that because it's so easy to feel that nothing really works. Like, we are all just fucked anyway, and maybe we are, I don't know, but some changes happen, right? And that's good. So I want to highlight those changes because it does seem insurmountable. While, like, when I was going through this, I had to actively look up what the last 2 years have achieved because I was absolutely depressed as fuck. Right. So I'm used to depressing things and I still couldn't cope. So I'm going to give you some good shit. Right.
That's a very mean thing to say about me, Ashmita.
What do you mean? Sandy.
I mean, that was uncalled for, to be very honest.
I'm talking about the
That's a low blow.
material. I'm talking about the material that I read.
You're taking a person when he's already down, you know. So
No,
I
Sandy,
don't appreciate it at all.
you're the silver lining to my life, Sandy.
And before saying that, you started off with we have good news.
Yeah.
We do have good news. I do want to
Is
talk about. I will highlight the good news. Also, Prakhar, I want to tell you this. Before you joined, I was just asking Sandy, did you miss me? And Sandy was like, sure.
that's a
So
very
yeah,
I
normal
mean,
response.
yeah.
saying sure. Anyway,
Yeah.
so the good news, Hasbara has not been doing great, right? And it's demonstrable by not just what you are seeing online, but also the fact that more money is being pulled in. Like in the beginning of this year, Israel approved a plan to spend $30 million. Any US taxpayer listening to this is your money going. $30 million towards covertly funding government propaganda in the United States and the Western countries. Covertly funding, as in not having any links to Israel whatsoever. Right? I'll put a link to this article as well. It's interesting.
By the way, while we are
Yeah.
talking about this, I just got a notification that says some sectors of US economy fall into recession. Yeah, so basically,
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like US is like doing everything possible to fuck with itself and safeguard Israel. It doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. Yeah.
And by the way, for the record, and this is not just a Republican thing to do, right? It's
Oh
not as if the
yes.
Democrats were in power, they would have done something very different. Both Republicans and Democrats are equally responsible for all of this shithousery that has been going on for such a long time.
Yes. I mean, the eastern part of the world has suffered at the hands of Democrats and Republicans alike. Basically, we don't like any of you. Y'all are shit.
So why I was also saying that was because there is a school of thought that maybe if Kamala Harris had come into power,
No, no,
the
no, no.
genocide would have stopped a long time ago and she would have pulled up some trees and done some miracles. I assure you, no. To this day, right now, last week she did an interview. She still refuses to accept that it's a war crime and it's a genocide. So let me assure you that even whoever it might have been in the office, maybe Kamala Harris would have been slightly better for the American citizens, but apart from that, there is literally zero difference on the outside
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much the
And
same.
which is why I think none of us should give a fuck. Fine, fuck yourselves over. Like I don't know what to say this. I have friends who are Americans and they're really nice people and I feel very bad for them. And that's about it. Anyway, the good news is that BDS has only grown stronger, right? In November 20, let me give you examples of the success cases, okay? And it's brilliant. In November 24, the French retailer Carrefour has closed all its stores in Jordan. Two of the largest US food and beverage chains, McDonald's and Starbucks, they have been suffering losses, right? They have seen declining sales, they have seen reputational backlash, and particularly in Middle East and Muslim countries like Indonesia and all. Indonesia, Bangladesh, Malaysia, they're not doing well at all. Starbucks in 2024 for 3 consecutive quarters reported global sales decline and revenue decline of by 2%. In September, it announced plans to close dozens of US outlets because it cannot function anymore, right? Coca-Cola, I don't know if you've seen, has launched had launched a fuck all ad campaign in Bangladesh, spending a lot of money, claiming that it is supporting the Palestinian economy. And it failed miserably, like massive public outrage it faced in Bangladesh, and it had to withdraw the ad. In September this year, like just a couple of months back, the Spanish government cancelled a weapons deal with Israel worth nearly 700 million euros, $815 million. In 2024, last year, Norway's pension fund and France's AXA divested from Israeli assets linked to settlements. Ireland, Denmark, and the Netherlands pension funds also withdrew investments in Israeli linked companies, including, and these are massive, Caterpillar, Expedia, and TripAdvisor. There is increasing political pressure for Israel to back the fuck down. And I just want to say that in a world which is run by capitalism, right? Go back and read about so much of occupation and genocide. There's always an economic reason. There's always oil. There's always like Gaza gas. It's there's always an economic reason. In that world, refusing to put your money behind these people is massive. And we all think that what can we individually do? This is the best we can. There's nothing that us common people are going to be able to solve in one person at a time. But when you become parts of movements like this, and this is not just today, right? It's not just BDS, it's not just in recent history. You see this across timelines. The labor movement, the labor union formation, everything has been common people coming together and
For
refusing.
Indians,
Yeah,
for Indians, the Swadesi movement. That's
correct.
pretty much
The non-cooperation movement. It's exactly that. Hit them in their pockets, and that's where it hurts, right? And that's a fact.
Even
Yeah.
in tourism sector, I've seen recent videos like what happened in Thailand and what's happening in other places also. Now, restaurants and other places, they're refusing to tourists from Israel to dine in or to buy. They
Yeah.
refuse. They don't want to sell anything to them. They don't want them to dine in, and that's great. People
Yeah.
like even in Thailand, they were literally shooed away. Get the fuck out of here. Not even like respectfully. So I mean, it slowly and gradually it's picking up. It shows, and it
Yeah.
will of course make a huge difference eventually.
Yeah. Okay, I have extreme beliefs at all point of time. There is a group of people that
No.
says,
What are you talking about? I never noticed only. When did that happen, Ashmita?
fuck off, Sandy.
No.
There is-
I'm shocked. Consider me shocked.
There is a group of people that says not all Israelis are they're shitty people, which of course that's a fact. Like not everyone of a certain group is going to be shitty people. But I do think that it's the same logic as not all men. I do think that every single Israeli does benefit from the settlement. Every single Israeli is living on stolen land. And unless they actively disassociate themselves from there, they're a part of the solution. They're a part of the problem, right? They're not a part of the solution. There's a
Glad you
subreddit
corrected
called
yourself.
yeah. There's a subreddit called Jewish Voice for Jews of Conscience, right? And you should check it out. You feel so bad because there are these young people, right? 17, 18-year-old Israelis, even younger, and they are really struggling. Like they are like, I don't want to be a part of this, but I don't know what the fuck to do. Like I am surrounded by Zionists. I'm very afraid for my life. And you see these children, 18, 19-year-olds who are trying to escape the country.
Unfortunately, they will suffer the same treatment that many young Germans did right after the Second World War.
Yes.
You know?
And they are being jailed.
Yeah.
Young people, listen, all revolutions have been brought about by young people, by students. I have a lot of faith in them. And I think it's going to be the same case here as well. But I just want to say, if 18-year-olds are looking for ways out of the country, you fucking adults, 30 fucking 40 fucking year olds who have gotten, every single Israeli has a citizenship of another country as well, because there's nothing known as Israel. If you cannot get the fuck out, it's on you. You deserve to be boycotted everywhere. You deserve to be shooed out, right? So I think extreme measures And by extreme measures, I don't mean shooting down people. I mean extreme measures of legitimately of the BDS setup, right? Like completely by boycotting them from civilized society. I think it is important. And I do think every Israeli who chooses to stay back in Israel deserves that treatment. And I say that while just a couple of years back, one of my closest friends was an Israeli who refused to talk to me after October 7th because I refused to side with Israel, but sure. Right. So I know it sounds extreme, but it is nowhere close to the extreme of what Israel is doing to Palestine. And you do not get to negotiate and to be civilized with uncivilized behavior. You don't. You do it by absolutely refusing any kind of reasonable engagement with them. Just get them out of civilized society, and whoever chooses to stay back in Israel is just a pariah throughout. And I really hope that happens more and more often. So I just wanted to end with the good news because I want to remind everyone that this works. And my recommendation for the week is also associated with this. Recommendation time. I would strongly recommend downloading this app called Boycat, BOYCAT. It's also one of the projects under Tech for Palestine. It lets you see which companies that you are purchasing from is associated with Israel and is funding the appetite, right? So you can make different choices. I want to say...
I'm sorry. Every time you're saying apartheid, it's coming across as appetite. So just...
Apartheid.
Yeah.
Not appetite.
It came across as appetite like the previous 3-4 times you said that.
No, so, it's apartheid.
Yeah.
Okay, the occupation, the illegal occupation, right? You are going to be able to spot alternatives, like a company supports Israel and you don't want to buy from them, so you can choose other options. Please do that. Second thing, check out Tech for Palestine. If you want to volunteer, if you think your skills can be useful, please write to us at don't know do care numerical 1 at gmail.com. Reach out to us at DKDC DKDC podcast on Instagram, or you can directly reach out to Tech for Palestine as well. They are constantly accepting volunteers. But if you want to chat about it, you want to know what you can do, then I can help out in that. So please do write and do reach out if you are at all interested in helping out, giving your time as well. And the final recommendation, there's another one, which is the last one, which is a happy recommendation, is go check out Prakhar's band. It's called Kapao. They are doing some really, really good shit. They are reaching global stages. They are on one of India's largest stages today, and they are going to be in US by next year. Next year, right, Prakhar?
Yes.
What are you doing?
Also, which channel was your IGT audition on? Sony Live, is it?
Sony Live, yeah.
Sony Live. Is that also available on the Sony Live OTT platform? Can they go back and watch? Then please do that. Yeah. Please, if you have a Sony Live subscription, or if you can buy a Sony Live subscription, please get one. Watch India's Got Talent, the last one.
Yeah, even if you don't have a Sony Live subscription or you don't want to buy one, you can actually watch our performance on our Instagram. So we have posted the video. Follow us on Instagram. Like the video, comment.
Yes.
And we will come up with more videos because we're heading to Mumbai again on the 6th of November for the next set of rounds.
Amazing.
So there'll be more content. So you can follow us on Instagram so that you're able to follow us for more content.
Might I just add that whenever you're asking people to follow you, you might as well also mention the handle.
It's
so just to...
the name is It's Kapao Time.
It's Kapao
Time. ITS KAPOWTIME. It's Kapao Time.
We are going to put the link to Kapao's handle as well. Don't pay any more money to Sony. Sony has enough money. Don't do it. Just go to Kapao's Instagram. Yeah, just go to Kapao's handle. Support Kapao. No need to support Sony. Yeah. And that's
hopefully the next time Prakhar is on the IGT stage, he'll give us a shout out as well.
Prakhar, you better give this podcast some platform, okay?
Yeah, of course.
Talk about
Thanks
us.
for putting me in spot, Sandy.
So that was the recommendation of the week. Do check out the handles and the websites that Ashmita spoke about, and do check out Kapao on Instagram for more of their great work. And that will be us for this week's version of this episode. And we hope to see you in the next episode. Till then, please take care. Bye bye.